Hey there, it's BJ, your friendly podcaster from the Chew Crew, and our 1 year anniversary podcast is almost here. So to celebrate, we're making a special appearance on Good Day Sacramento on the CW, January 7th on the morning show at 8 a.m. Pacific Time. So if you're in the Sacramento area, that's channel 31. You can watch us online at gooddaysacramento.cbslocal.com, or if you want to live stream it, it's gooddaysacramento.cbslocal.com/show/live-video. Thank you guys for all your support. Enjoy many more episodes to come of Chew on This, a Nerds United podcast. Welcome to episode 61 of Chew on This, a Nerds United podcast. I'm BJ.
Vic.
So we are, well, for one thing, Happy New Year.
Oh, yeah. We always record so early. We always forget, like, the days that it released.
So Happy New Year to all you guys. And New Year to us means that we have a whole slew of new movies to look forward to this year. So we're going to be doing our most anticipated movie list for each of us for the year 2017.
Yeah, and in no way does that mean we think these anticipated movies are going to be any fucking good.
Exactly.
So wait, so well, when this releases, it'll be New Year's. So do you have a New Year's resolution?
God, get more than 3 listeners. I think that'd be great.
I think we have more than 3. I'm pretty sure we have more than 3.
Maybe 5 or 6, if I had to guess. But
I'd like to get at least one sponsor.
One sponsor would be good. Another,
or just somebody just to give us money to do nothing.
Another goal of mine is to actually work some more cons. So I look forward to that. But
we would need somebody to give us money to be able to go to these cons. Self-funded podcast people. We need money to go out and do these conventions.
Either that, or can we guys could just have a convention at our house, and then you could just come over.
I think those are called garage sales.
Yeah. They're like, we're here for the Frozen Castle and the Hatchimal. Hey, while you're here, what do you think of Rogue One?
Just record people.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty funny. It would be pretty funny if we just went to like garage sales and just started asking people about their stuff, but said we were at like Comic-Con.
This guy kind of sounds like Tom Hanks. Hey, Tom.
This guy has a British accent. Let's tell everybody it's Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
We got Thor on.
How heavy is that hammer, really?
Actually, Thor's Chris Hemsworth's Australian, so
that
would be even worse.
Since when is Chris British? That's weird.
Anyway, our 2017 most anticipated list. I'll go first since you did the best of 2016.
Oh, okay, yeah,
go
for it. All
right. So
you're just gonna go down the list from 10 to 1.
10 to 1.
I'll do mine, and then we'll just talk about.
Yeah, and then we'll go over some outliers that we had.
Okay, we could do that.
So number 10, I have Logan. 9, Justice League. 8, Power Rangers. 7, Wonder Woman. 6, Thor Ragnarok. Wait, what is that? 5?
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute. Did I?
You gotta
put
numbers on those, dude.
Did I do it again?
On my list, I actually have numbers next to the movies, dude.
All right. So number 5 is Guardians of the Galaxy 2. 4 is Beauty and the Beast. 3 is War of the Planet of the Apes. 2 is Spider-Man: Homecoming. And number 1 for me is Episode 8, Star Wars Episode 8.
Awesome. Okay, yeah, we differ pretty big, except for one. One we have exactly the same spot.
I figured that was going to be the same.
Actually, no, 2 we have in the same spot. Okay, so number 10, I have, again, like when you guys listen to this, you're going to see like there's definitely generational gaps, I think, in a couple things. But number 10, I have Blade Runner.
What do you mean generational gaps? Like you're not that
I'm only
much
like
older than
4 years older.
like you're a fucking senior citizen or something.
There's a difference between like in My Little Pony and Care Bears or something. Like,
That's probably the same year.
did they
think.
really?
I don't know.
Whatever. Okay, so number 10, I have Blade Runner 2049. Number 9, I have Power Rangers. Number 8, War for the Planet of the Apes. Number 7, Logan. Number 6, Thor Ragnarok. Number 5, Beauty and the Beast. Number 4, Spider-Man Homecoming. Number 3, I have the Lego Batman movie. Number 2, I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And number 1, I have Star Wars Episode 8, of course.
That Lego one stands out to me that you have that on the list.
Yeah.
I have it on my outlier list because the trailers looked really good, but I just wasn't like, when I saw that it's going to be available in IMAX, I was thinking like, I don't want to see that in IMAX. And that to me, if I don't want to see a movie in IMAX, that's that type of a movie, it tells me it doesn't belong in my top 10. If I don't want to pay the extra money,
I guess that kind of makes sense from a financial point of view. But
yeah. Again, self-funded podcast.
Right, but what cracks me up is that you have. You're still hopeful for the DC. I guess they're anticipated. I don't know. Maybe like I thought about putting Justice League on my list just because I'm like, I want to see what kind of a train wreck this is.
I think that's why I said it. That's why I said in the beginning that it has nothing to do with that. We think these movies are going to be any good.
That's very true. It's anticipating.
It has everything to do with seeing. Like again, I know we fucking bashed the shit out of DC because they're goddamn idiots, but But it's Batman, it's Wonder Woman, it's the Flash. I grew up more with DC characters. The only real Marvel characters I really ever grew up with was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
They always had the animated series and the cartoons. Spider-Man was like my other favorite superhero growing up. But as far as my the main superheroes for me, it was always Batman, it was always Superman. I always knew who Wonder Woman was, the Justice League or the what was the Justice League show called? Super Friends.
Super Friends.
Yeah, so I grew up with all that stuff, So DC is my first love, and I guess that's why I bash it so much, because not only is it like the Holy Trinity, it's the first superhero, Superman, but it's like my first love of comic books.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the fact that they keep screwing it up, which is why I hate Michael Bay so much, because they keep screwing up Transformers. That's why I bash him so much, because it's my first love of comic books, and they keep fucking it up.
I think a lot of listeners need to kind of understand that too, and I'm sure they do. I mean, even though we bash it so much, we still proclaim how much we love them. We're not just like Marvel fanboys or something like that. We're really diehard, comic book character fans and comic book movie fans. So we bash it because they're not getting it right. We're just very upset, that they keep getting Superman terribly wrong, and now they're getting Batman wrong, which makes me even angrier.
Well, they're getting Batman wrong to a sense of that he won't stop killing people.
Well, yeah, and that.
But Affleck was pretty good.
He was pretty good, but again, he's not the leader of the Justice League. That's Superman, and I think they killed him off way too early, and it didn't make any kind of impact at all. Like, he didn't sacrifice.
Right.
I mean, yeah, he sacrificed himself, but it had no bearing because he kept going back and forth on whether or not he, wanted to be Superman. So the sacrifice I was like, fucking die then. You didn't want to be Superman anyway. So,
yeah.
No, I'm not crying for you, Argentina. So, okay. So I had. Do you want to go over the outliers, or do you want
to? Let's go through our list.
Okay.
So number 10, I had Logan. Where did you had 10?
So I had Logan at number 7, and I really have high hopes for that movie because the trailer looked awesome. The use of Johnny Cash's song really spoke to me. It looks like a. It's old man Logan story, but obviously done differently because they can't get half those characters for the movie.
I don't think they get any of them.
No, probably not. I mean, they changed out Hawkeye with Professor X. So, but from what I've been hearing or reading about it, and I stopped reading everything after this, but they've said that the girl is Weapon X or Weapon 23 or something like that.
Yeah.
And they said she's stealing the show. So, but I don't know. Like, I've heard this many times before, and I always was let down once I watched the movie. But
each Wolverine movie has gotten better. So let's see. Hopefully, he goes out on a high note. I really, really hope they took care with this property. Why did you have it at number 10?
Well, because because it was supposed to be his last hurrah, but the reason why I have it so low is because he's really only had one decent or Wolverine movie, and he's only had two. So, and I think the other problem for me with the movie, the trailer did look good, but knowing how awesome Old Man Logan's story was in the comic books and how much they have to change it because of this, like you just said, like it looks like they changed out Hawkeye's story for or character in the comic books for Professor X for the movies. He plays a huge part in Logan in Old Man Logan the comic books, and then also Hulk plays a huge role in the comic books, and it looks like they completely changed that with something else. And I don't think the first Old Man Logan had anything to do with Weapon 23.
I don't think it is either.
So I don't know if that's like they're trying to do maybe what Marvel's doing with the Avengers and bring in like new Avengers, like she'll be the new Wolverine or whatever.
Gotcha, yeah.
But so I as much as I love Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, I think he breaks even with flops versus good movies. X-Men 1 and 2 are good.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there.
The Wolverine was okay. Days of Future Past was really good, but that was more on like everybody else was really good. The story was really good.
Right.
What else was he in? What other X-Men 3 was terrible.
Yeah.
So I think there's like what 6 X-Men movies that he's been in, 6 or 7.
Yeah, ton.
I think it's like 3 and 3.
Yeah.
So if you just look at it face value, it's either way, and that's why I have it at number 10
Where
because
you have it.
yeah, because
But it's on your list.
it's on my
So,
list.
yeah.
You know, if it was like he had 4 good movies and 2 okay movies, I'd be like, okay, it'd be much higher. But because of so many things going against this movie and how much they have to change the story of Old Man Logan, and we've all, if you don't know, Hugh Jackman loves to say this is the Wolverine movie you've been waiting for. We've been hearing that since X-Men Origins.
Yeah.
I was never waiting for X-Men Origins. I never wanted that movie.
Yeah, and Wolverine would have been even better if they didn't have that funky ending. But the rest of that movie was pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean, same problem with most superhero movies, like we talked about last time, is just a bad,
Just can't get that
bad
ending,
evil
stick
character.
that ending down. Yeah. But
So would you have a 10?
number 10, I had Blade Runner 2049. Now, I grew up with, watching Harrison Ford in, shit, back in the day. It was, Han Solo, and then it was Indiana Jones, and then it was, Deckard, and then back to Star Wars, and then Indiana Jones. So this is very exciting for me because he's doing it again. He did Star Wars last year. Now he's doing Blade Runner, and then he's going to probably inevitably end his career on Indiana Jones. Because like the guy is getting up there in age. I'm sure he's going to retire soon. So this is a very exciting time. So I think for nostalgic reasons, I have Blade Runner at number 10. And now you got Ryan Gosling, you got a young pup in there doing his thing, and now we get to find out whether Deckard is really a replicant or not.
Yeah, I've watched that movie, and it looks like from the trailer, it kind of looks like he might be a replicant.
Yeah.
I've seen Blade Runner maybe 10 times. And it's been years since I've seen that movie, and I know the influence of that movie is great. I mean, if you look at a lot of like, even fast forward to what is that Bruce Willis movie?
Fifth Element.
Yeah, The Fifth Element. You look at that futuristic world that what's it? Luc Besson. Yeah, he creates it. There's a lot of influence from Blade Runner. Akira is the same way. I think Akira took from Blade Runner, right? Or is it the other way around?
They're very similar, but the special effects for that time it was insane. It just
still
looked beautiful.
I mean, they still hold up. Like
Yeah.
if you were gonna make a world like that, and Blade Runner is a really influential movie. Same thing with Alien was a very influential movie, but it just wasn't those movies for me. Well, Blade Runner anyway wasn't one of those movies where like I think I was too young to understand that movie. Like it's so young, in fact, that like when people are talking about whether or not Harrison Ford was a replicant, I'm like, I totally missed that.
And there's 2 versions of that movie. The one that we got, the theatrical one, they made him do all these voiceovers to kind of fill in the blanks.
Right.
And which, if you listen to the voiceovers, the narration from Harrison Ford, it sounds like he was totally against it. So when you would listen to it, he's just like, like very
grump,
monotone,
yeah.
very grumpy. When you watch the special edition of it without the narration, it's a different movie, man. Like it kind of points to him being more of a replicant than the theatrical version. But I'm looking forward to that. It doesn't come out until October, which kind of worries me because we've said it before. September and October and January usually where movies go to die. So we'll see. I'm hoping I have high hopes.
I think that kind of changes. That's going to change now. And my prediction for the 5 listeners out there, and the reason why I think September, October, and January are no longer going to be where movies go to die, is because they're juggernauts in May, June, July, and now December.
Mhm.
Like there's juggernauts. Like if you're released, even because somebody like you who grew up with Blade Runner, right? You'll go see it. You're gonna love it. Nerds will go love it. Even somebody like myself, it's I don't have it in my top 10, but it's in one of my outliers. There's would you want to put Blade Runner up if you're trying to make the most money? You know what is that? Is that a 20th century? That's a 20th Century Fox movie,
I
right?
think so, yeah.
Why would you want to go against Logan?
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. But I mean, you can put it in maybe in March or in April. April now has become the Fast and the Furious month. You know, March has become the DC month, even though I think now they're going to move.
I just think people just don't want to go against Marvel or DC.
That's
or,
very possible.
or
That's
movies.
that's actually a very good point because that movie. I mean, it's pretty special in its own way. I mean, but it is a big budget sci-fi movie, and so
I mean, because
I just worry
look
for
where
it.
they released Doctor Strange. Probably 12 years ago, 15 years ago, if a movie like that was going
They
to come
couldn't
out,
do it.
they would have released it in July.
Yeah, they couldn't
Not
put that
November.
movie- They couldn't put that. But
And it's Marvel
Marvel's-
Studios doing it, where it's
Yeah.
like anything Marvel puts out, you know, is going to make a ton of money. And even them, they're like, let's put it in November.
Which is, I think it's the bigger companies that could change those months around. I mean, if they put a Marvel
Star Wars
movie
did.
in,
Star Wars.
they put a Marvel movie
completely-
in January. Just think.
Yeah, I
maybe
mean,
what that
Star
would do.
Wars. Star Wars completely changed December.
Yeah,
I mean, even James Cameron's like, I'm not going to release Avatar in December. Why would I do that? Even though everybody would go see Avatar
but it would take a chunk out of the business.
out of each other.
Yeah.
So
it really would.
as big as a 10-pole movie, when Avatar finally gets released, which is probably going to be one of our number 1 or number 2, like next to Star Wars movie, because it's every December. But even James Cameron himself says, why would I want to go against Star Wars? That's just dumb. You know, unless he's releasing a romantic comedy, you don't release the same
Yeah.
month as or even close to Star Wars.
Right.
So
You do
if you can move
counter-programming.
if you can move King James Cameron out of December, like it doesn't matter where they release Blade Runner.
Yeah, that's true. What did you have for number 9?
I had Justice League.
Okay,
So again, I
we
had
talked
Justice-
about that.
Yeah, yeah.
In exhaustion. So number 9, I have Power Rangers, which again, I think I've mentioned before. I was very surprised that of all the trailers that dropped recently, that one really piqued my interest the most because I really, the TV show I wasn't really into. I think I was too old for it when it came out, and then they did the movie and TV movie and all that stuff. And so when they announced this movie, I really wasn't that excited about it. But then there was this little 14-minute short that we've talked about briefly that showed what the potential of what a Power Rangers movie could be.
If it was like adult themed almost.
Yeah, I mean, because it was like someone was going around killing all the Power Rangers, and it had some pretty not hefty actors in it, but
good-
people that you
good
knew.
actors, yeah.
And that piqued my interest. So when they said they were doing a movie, I was like, all right. And then once they released who they were getting, and then the diversity of the cast, and then they, I wasn't sure about Banks being, Rita Repulsa or whatever, but all the visuals of her and her voice and all that stuff in the trailer, I'm like, I'm okay with it now. I just want to go see it. And have you seen what the Zords look like?
I've seen the toys, so I want to hold back. I want to hold back speculation of what I think the Zords will look like, or the actual once they form up, because toys nowadays blow when it comes to that type of
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah.
They cheapen the shit out like crazy. It's not going to look like the movie, because the way that the Zord looks like right now, formed, the toy I saw it in the stores, it doesn't look like anything at all that would resemble not that you want to resemble the TV show because it's just a guy
No, but
in
it
a
doesn't look
cardboard
like
suit.
a toy I would buy my son. I'm like, that looks dumb.
So I want to reserve judgment until I actually see it.
Yeah.
Now the posters that they've released, they show pieces of the individual Zords, which look pretty good.
Yeah.
So I have it at 8, so not far from you. So we're relatively pretty close. My opinion on it was like, I hope you don't suck because this trailer's pretty good.
Yeah.
As far as the diversity in it, it looks like they did pretty well. I'm a little skeptical why they had Banks in it. She's a really good actress, but from what I understand, from what I read, or from what the trailer looks like, it looks like she's been killing Power Rangers for a long time, which was pretty badass.
That's a cool line.
And then it might have even hinted, or maybe I even read it, that she might have been a Ranger herself. I'm not sure if that
That
was
would be
good.
an interesting twist, actually.
But I don't know why you couldn't get an Asian actress to do the same thing.
Yeah, again, it's the same. It's the Doctor Strange thing all over again. You know, it's like there's no I want to know their reasoning because with the Doctor Strange reasoning, it wasn't good enough. You know, they tried really hard to explain why, but their explanations just made them look even dumber for their choice. But
And it's not nitpicking. It's more of like, well, the original Power Rangers were diverse.
yes,
So your excuse of saying, well, the Rangers are diverse. I'm like, no, you just kept the Rangers the same thing. Why did you change the main villain into this? And like, don't give me some Tiger Lady bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
So I don't know. Well, I mean, like we said, don't fuck it up. It looks good right now. Obviously, because of the podcast that we always talk about the diversity. So I'm sure we'll hear more stories coming out as the movie gets closer, and of course, we'll talk about it after the movie comes out. But we're pretty close on the rating, or I'm sorry, not the rating, the placement of it. You have it at 9. I have it at 8.
So at 8, I have War for the Planet of the Apes, which you have a lot higher, I believe.
Number 3, actually.
Number 3. Wow.
Yeah.
This has been such an awesome surprise because, I watched as a kid. I watched the first 2, I think, Planet of the Apes with Charlton Heston. It wasn't in the second one very much, I don't believe, but in the first one, and I was like, I really loved that movie when I was a kid. And then, each movie they came out, it got worse. It went all the way to 5 or 6 movies, and it got ridiculous. But then you get to Tim Burton's version, and he went with people in ape suits as well, but a little bit like, our technology is a lot better, our makeup and all that stuff's better. So it looked okay, but the story was just terrible. And then, so when they announced that they were going to be retackling it, I really had no interest in it. I really was I don't know how many people were really that interested in it. And plus it came out in a weird time of the year, I think August or September, something like that. So I really had no interest in it, but I think the RT rating was pretty high. And I remember someone telling me like, dude, you got to go watch this movie. It's pretty good. And so I went and I was very pleasantly surprised. That first movie does such a great job setting everything up. And then the second movie just fucking spikes the ball. So I'm very excited for the third movie. I think they're going to go out with a bang, or maybe leave it open for something else. But so far, like the original Jason Bourne trilogy, they're doing a bang up job. They're just, each movie's getting better. And so I'm very curious.
Well, not the
to
last
see.
Jason Bourne.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. But the trilogy, the Bourne trilogy. So I'm looking forward to this movie. Definitely. But I had it at number 8. What did you have it at? Like 3?
I had it at 3, and I have
high.
it that high
That's really
because they are phenomenal films. The same reason why I have Logan all the way down at 10 is the same reason why I have Planet of the Apes at number 3. There's no reason for me to think that this movie would be bad because they've gotten better. They've gotten better. So the first one just completely blew me away. Where it took the nostalgic or the niche of like, oh, it's just going to be people in ape suits, right? And they CG'd it, and it was all about the human aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
What is this relationship between the man and this chimp, and Franco was amazing in this movie. Of course, Andy Serkis was great in this movie too. It made you. The movie was so good. It made you care for a CG ape or a CG like chimpanzee. It's just crazy how good that first movie was. Everything about that first movie is great. You, and I think we said before that like we were like I kind of side with the chimps or the apes in this one. I think the humans are just dicks.
Yeah, I really like the aspect of he had a relationship with the humans. So like even though some of the other apes are like kill the humans, he's just like no, like some of them are good,
Yeah.
And that's what keeps what keeps happening is he puts faith in humanity, and then something happens that fucks it all up.
I'm
and
kind of
now-
surprised you have it that low then, because
Well-
there's no indication that it would tell. Like even the trailer, that the teaser that they just released, it gives you like no indication that the third one's going to be any bad. I mean,
But see, this is what I can argue. The top 5 or 6 ones that I have are pretty much almost I'm equally anticipated for. So technically, War for the Planet of the Apes would be like my number 2 or number 3.
so this
because,
is like 2E.
yeah, 2E, because all the ones before it are just slightly like I'm more excited for. But I mean, this movie, I mean, and then again, you also have to think that a year from now, when we go through the list again, it could jump way high after watching it. It's very possible because some of these other movies are like sequels and reboots and.
So what was that? That was number 7 for you.
No, that was number 8. Number 7 was Logan, which we already kind of.
My number 7 is Wonder Woman.
Okay.
So I think the only reason why it's down at 7 is because it's DC
Yeah.
or DC Films.
But why do you have it in your most anticipated movie? Like what?
Because
what is the main
it's the
reason?
first female centric superhero movie, and it's Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
If you were to tell me, like 16-year-old me, would you rather watch a Wonder Woman movie or a Captain Marvel movie, and not know how good like Marvel has been doing in their movies? Which movie would you rather see? I'd be like Wonder Woman, hands down.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with Wonder Woman in the cartoons with gorgeous Linda Carter. The series. Even though like I saw it in syndication, like I grew up with DC. But the only reason it's down at number 7 is because there's still a part of me that's like, yeah, it's like this whispering inside, like, don't get too excited. it's DC. They might fuck it up.
Yeah, and Snyder's still a
Producer,
and it has to match his tone, which is now an oxymoron.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have Wonder Woman on my outside list.
Probably for the same reason.
I've literally lost faith in DC. So anything they have out,
That would explain why Justice League is out too.
that's out too.
Yeah.
It's just on the outside now. Who's to say I go watch it and I'm like, holy shit, that was awesome. So I bump Blade Runner and I throw Wonder Woman in its place. or
Yeah,
something.
there's
You never
no
know.
there's no reason for me to think Justice League is going to be any good. But again, it's still Batman. It's still Superman.
I know.
I'm at the point where, but actually, you know what? Snyder's pretty much out after this, right?
I don't know. They've been inklings.
That
he
was
might
his
come
last
back.
one, right?
He might come back for Justice League 2 now. They're
Well,
talking
that's the
about.
problem. So it's a little bit different than like Transformers. They've never been any talk other than smart people like me and you that said you need another director to do Transformers. Whereas whereas Warner Brothers and DC is like, we need to change fast. We need to tell people over at nauseum that we're going to change our head of DC Films, and somebody else is going to be creative control. Jeff Johns, Snyder's doing a better job on Justice League, blah blah blah. But there hasn't now been any talk of him going beyond Justice League.
Yeah, see, the difference there is like Transformers, domestically, the movies have gone down, but internationally, they're so high that those movies are still doing $1 billion. So they have no reason to get Michael Bay out of there and get someone else. But with the DC movies, you're right. They didn't do Batman v Superman on paper. That should be $1.5 billion movie. $1.5 billion.
Domestically. It should.
3 billion worldwide, god damn it.
It should have.
It should have done Force Awakens money because it's never been fucking seen before.
It's Superman and Batman. It's the pinnacle. Like, I love Marvel movies, obviously, and I love Spider-Man. But if you said like Christopher Reeve's Superman is still, I mean, yeah, the special effects aren't great, but that movie is 100 times better
That
than
first
anything.
one is amazing.
If Man of
First two.
Steel was even half as good as Superman, it probably would have blew through the roof
Yeah.
box office wise. But again, I am so curious to know how much money Justice League is going to be making after the 2 debacles they've already had.
That's why I say I think at this point they switched directors because of that reason. Because if Justice League doesn't do better than Batman v Superman or something like that, they're in real trouble.
Yeah, if they equal the same amount as Batman v Superman, that doesn't.
That's still a failure to me.
Yeah, to me it's a failure because I mean think about how much
sounds
more.
weird.
Well, yeah,
$800 million. That's a fucking failure.
Well, when you cost like $500 million between
yeah.
marketing and special effects and making the movie, because I mean think about the way that the Marvel movies have done. From Iron Man all the way to the first Avengers movie. Avengers just was crazy.
Yeah.
No movie compared to it because now you had all the audiences built in to do it. Well, what has DC done? They've actually shied people away from this team up because it's like, well, okay, I got Superman. All right, that was okay. Now you give me Batman v Superman. You've added 2 other heroes on film. Well, 3 if you count the Flash, but whatever. 2 other superheroes on film, and you're like, okay, you added 2 more people, and that was a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're gonna add the ensemble of Justice League. What makes me think that movie's like if you weren't a nerd and you saw those first 2 movies, you're like, I'm not gonna pay for that fucking 3rd movie. Why would I go see that movie?
Well, and also you have to think about this Justice League. How long of the movie are they going to spend going around recruiting people? I mean, I like movies like that.
You know what they should do is
But
just
not-
release 15-minute trailers. They should just release the team ups right there. Bruce Wayne going around in broad daylight with a shirt that says "Not Batman" and release the trailer that says the team up, and then just do the movie.
Yeah. Hey, I heard Batman's looking for metahumans. What do you think? Do you want to join his group?
So 15 minutes of trailer character development, and then Justice League is just a giant 2.5-hour fight.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't they just run a special on TV, just an hour special where it's the prelude to the movie where he goes around and picks the people up.
And the only dialogue that's needed in the Justice League movie during the main fight is just tell us that the island that they're fighting on is abandoned and there's no humans. Still fixing Man of Steel.
And now fixing Batman v Superman because he doesn't kill anymore.
Right.
Oh, I killed because the Joker
Did
killed
you see
Jason
that?
Todd. I'm
Did
so
you
pissed.
see that new video that there's a video out there that they actually counted how many people Batman killed? And
no.
And there's more than you actually think.
Really?
Yeah, there's parts where he actually decapitates people, and you don't even know it.
Yeah. Oh no, there's when that car gets the top gets taken
Yeah,
off.
that
You're
guy's.
you're like they're dead.
The video actually slowed it down for you, and I was like, oh shit, his head's completely clean off.
it's
There's
gone.
no fucking way that guy survived.
His head is decapitated.
And then there's the scene where he comes in with a bat wing and just completely blows up the Ford trucks.
But I just hate that, when people went online and said, Batman doesn't kill him, and people went online and said, no, he's killed before. And I'm like, yeah, but not blatantly like that. And then their excuse was, oh, well, it's because, Joker killed what's Robin. And I was like, well, wait a minute. What average moviegoer has no fucking clue what that is. I love all this justification outside the movie that they don't explain in the movie. And then people always come back and go, well, then you're just an idiot because you're not a good enough detective while you watch the movie. And I'm like, dude.
No, Batman's not a good detective.
He doesn't even know.
Yeah.
They don't even know who each other are. They don't even know
And he leaves clues everywhere.
everywhere.
All right, enough about fucking that movie.
Yeah, fuck
All right,
that.
so I have 1, 10, 9, 8, 7.
So 6. 6, I have Thor.
Oh shit, we're
Ragnarok.
at the same spot.
Yeah, which and that's a good spot for it to be because I think we've talked about how that is probably the one Marvel movie where we're both very leery of because
I don't even know if
they're
leery is the right
mashing
word.
up. They're mashing up two
okay,
things.
yeah. Okay, yeah, we are leery about
because
that.
because Ragnarok means the end of all things, and that's a big Thor storyline. But then they're adding
That actually
they're
kills. I think that actually kills Thor. I think.
Yes, yeah, I think so too. But they're shoehorning in. We don't have a fucking fact checker because we're poor. We need a secretary here to be like, let me check on that for you, sir.
Our internet's not working.
We need a fucking Alfred. Anyway, we have no internet. Yeah, we go to McDonald's and we upload this every Monday.
Yeah, we
anyway.
need a sponsor.
Yeah. McDonald's, we're looking at you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, and then they're shoehorning in Planet Hulk.
Yeah.
And then I think that's where you said like, that was a pretty good story. Like, why can't they just do that separately? You know?
Yeah, it's like they literally have no faith in the Hulk movie.
Which is weird. They just did a fucking Doctor Strange movie who people could give less than two shits about.
Yeah, I think I think they underestimate how much we love
Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo and
He's the Hulk.
But the problem with that is that Planet Hulk would be nothing but just
CGI.
CG Hulk.
Yeah.
You know, at least with Thor, yeah, you have special effects behind him, but it would still just be Chris Hemsworth, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are pretty leery because they're trying to pigeonhole two major Marvel stories into one movie because and I'm going to say this, but I'm going to be skeptical about it that this might be the first movie where it feels like they were pressured into doing something. Like for the longest time, it was like, you know, since the first Avengers, when they finally got it right, when they finally got Hulk right, it was like, when are we going to see a Hulk movie? When are we going to see a Hulk movie? And there was like the thing with Paramount, I think owns is it Paramount or Universal? I think owns it. Universal, I think.
Owns what?
The movie rights to a standalone Hulk movie.
Oh, yeah.
So if they really wanted to, with like even, you know, Spider-Man, they were able to do it. If they can get Spider-Man and they really wanted to, they could have gotten Hulk.
They could have. Marvel's just greedy.
Maybe. So, but again,
They're about making money.
But again, you know, I think a team up with Hulk and Thor would be pretty fun.
Mm-hmm.
And the same reason why you have Justice League and Wonder Woman outside is the opposite reason of why we have Thor this high, because like it's Marvel.
Right.
It's Marvel. As leery as we are about two major storylines being combined into one movie, you know, if any studio is going to do it, if you told me they were going to, you know, DC or Marvel was going to try to mesh all these stories together, I would say Marvel would be able to do it smoothly. So
Yeah, I think so too.
So that's why we have it at 6.
Number 5, what did you have?
I had Guardians 2.
Okay, and I have that much higher. So Guardians 2, we talked about Guardians 1 before and how it reminded us a lot about Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it just looks like fun. I mean, I really don't need to see anything beyond and above the trailer that they just shown, because it just looks like more of the same kind of fun the team's having. I'm sure that they're going to add some extra characters. You know, we've heard of Kurt Russell being in it, and you know, Star-Lord's dad and all that stuff. Ego the Planet. Do we know who the main baddie is in that?
I'm not sure. I've tried not to read too much about it.
Okay, yeah, I really don't know much about this movie other than just watching the visuals and looking at how much fun that they're having. And so I have that really, really high. That's the first big movie of the summer, I think May 4th or something like that. So I have that high. Why do you have that at number 5?
I think it's because it looked like, and this is not a knock on the movie, that it did look like it was going to be, you know, the same kind of fun, or not the same movie, but it seemed reliable.
Okay.
And I'm
That makes
okay
sense.
with being at 5. It'd probably move a lot higher if it's anything like the first movie and they show me something different.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it being at 5 is no indication that I don't really want to see that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like it could easily be number 2. Actually, no, not on this list. My 1 and 2 would never move.
Yeah.
But I have it at 5 not because I don't think it's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I have it at 5 because I do think it's going to be awesome. But the 4 movies in front of it, the one that we just talked about, War of the Planet of the Apes, is slightly different, and especially on an emotional level of watching the first 2 ape movies. I think that's why I have it at 3 and Guardians down at 1, because I've only seen one Guardians movie. And this War of the Planet of the Apes is building towards something that we've been waiting
That's probably why we had Captain America so high last year. It's because the first 2 were very, very, very good. I mean, the second Captain America movie, we've said many times, it's such a good movie.
It's a great spy movie.
Yeah.
Spy thriller.
So, yeah, I have, but I have it at number 2. I'm really looking forward to that. Number 5, I have Beauty and the Beast, which to me, I keep looking at that going like, that's hilarious, you know, because I've seen this movie 1,000 times, yet I'm so looking forward to watching this movie brought to life. I mean, they've done such a good job so far, beginning with Cinderella, and they've Jungle Book, and even Pete's Dragon was okay.
I haven't seen that one.
This looks. I cannot wait to see this movie.
You have it at 5, you said, right?
Yeah.
I have it at 4, so we're kind of relatively close.
Relatively close.
If you look at this list, and I could write down this list, it's the only one that it kind of stands out because it doesn't match any of the other things here.
No, totally.
It's basically a fairy tale, and it's a Disney fairy tale. So yeah, I liked Beauty and the Beast when I first watched it, as a kid, and then it's just a good movie. It's one of the better movies that Disney has ever made.
The music's really catchy too. It's not annoying. Like I cannot wait to see the bar scene with Gaston. I'm so excited to see that.
I mean, they perfectly cast too. Like when they said it was going to be,
Is it Emma Watson as Belle?
yeah, Emma Watson as Belle. I was like, oh shit, perfect.
Yeah.
She has grown a lot in being an actress. From the first Harry Potter to the last one, it's not even close. So when they got her, I was like, oh,
Is she doing the British accent, or is she doing it more Americanized?
So.
I have to watch that trailer again. I don't remember.
There's no reason why she shouldn't.
Yeah,
have
I
a
don't
British
see
accent.
why she shouldn't.
Gaston doesn't, I don't believe, but it doesn't
No.
really matter.
Doesn't matter.
The movie, the teaser trailer looks phenomenal, and everything about that movie is what I would picture it if it was in real life, like down to Cogsworth, I think is his name, right? Everything looks great, even Chip.
Somebody did a trailer comparison between the animated film and the new one, and it's identical, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't care. I
It's
don't
the
want to
same
see.
beats.
I don't want to see anything beyond and above this. If they show another trailer, I just want to stay away from it.
I
Because
really hope they nail this movie
just-
because it has everything going for it. It's I mean, if I wasn't a big fan of Cinderella, but I really loved the Jungle Book.
yeah, me too.
And if you're going to go out and do one of your best movies of all time and remake it into live action, I would have to say Disney knows what they're doing with this one.
Yeah, I'd have to
So-
say this one I think I'm more anticipating than some of the other ones. I know they're doing Mulan. I know they're doing Lion King, which I don't know how I feel about that. But now, I mean, at the time I thought, oh, genius, that's perfect. And now the more I'm thinking about it, I'm like,
I'd be
that would
interested
be a
to
tough
see.
one.
Mulan would be kind of interesting because the reason why that would be interesting, there's not a lot of you don't have to CG like a beast in that movie. I mean, yeah, you could do the little dragon. Hope it's not Eddie Murphy, but I hope Mulan would just be like a straight drama, right?
Totally, and they can do some humor and things like that. I like that movie compared to something like Aladdin, where how do you replace Robin Williams?
right.
How do you replace James Earl Jones and Jeremy Irons for Lion Kings? That's why I'm really skeptical about those movies. But Mulan would be great. I think even Little Mermaid would be great because again,
You probably get Idris Elba to do the Lion King.
he's in everything. So is Lupita. She's in everything, but
Right.
they're fucking great actors. So bring it on. If he wants to do Mufasa, go for it. Just change it up a little bit. Number 4, I have. So you have Beauty and the Beast number 4.
Yeah.
I have Spider-Man: Homecoming, and we've talked, ad nauseum about that. But I'll just reiterate. Tom Holland is Spider-Man. He's Peter Parker. I love he's from Harlem, right?
No, Queens.
No, or Queens. That's
Queens
right.
or Long Island?
Queens.
I think it's Queens.
The accent, fantastic. His Aunt May is hot. I mean, she's good. I like Marissa Tomei. Michael Keaton, fucking genius casting. I'm very much looking forward to this movie. I'm a little skeptical about the whole Tony Stark thing, but because I've even heard some rumors lately that he might be building him the suit.
Iron
yeah,
Spider.
which I hope they don't do that. Save that for 2-3 Spider-Mans down the road. Like, just give me a good Spider-Man movie. Don't worry about future shit. Just take care of a good Spider-Man movie and then move on from there. Where do you have Spider-Man?
I have it at 2.
Okay.
So, like I've said before, the first 2 Tobey Maguire movies still hit it.
Yeah.
They're still really good. I do like the first Andrew Garfield one. I think it's because I liked the more sarcastic Spider-Man
Yes.
and his truer portrayal with Gwen Stacy.
Huge chemistry with those two.
Yeah, so they carry both films, even though the second one's so god awful. I don't know which one's worse, that one or Spider-Man 3, but The reason why I have it at number 2 is I think I've said before is that it just Marvel has it back.
Yeah.
It's Marvel. Yeah, you know, the whole Tony Stark thing. I wish he wasn't there. I wish he didn't have a mentor, and there was more, you know, confliction with him and trying to live that life and, you know, the superhero life instead of having guidance from an actual superhero.
Yeah.
That kind of ruins that part for me. Of I want to see a 17-year-old kid struggle being with this burden of being a superhero and not having a billionaire tell him like, hey, relax, you know, you just be a kid, you do the small stuff, then you can, you know, do the big stuff, which kind of that bothered me, but it's nitpicking because again, it's Marvel.
Yeah. Do you think that they went that route because, you know, I thought Peter Parker's mentor was Dr. Connors, but they did that in Amazing Spider-Man, where his mentor ended up being, you know, the Lizard.
Well, I
So-
think they kind of already put that out there when Tony Stark or Spider-Man showed up in Civil War.
Yeah.
So it was already predetermined that would happen. Because it would kind of make no sense if you upgraded all, like, because they showed you that he was in the, you know, the sweatshirt or whatever with the giant goggles and all that shit. And he's like, you know what, you need an upgrade. And, you know, he gets the new suit. So it would kind of make no sense if you were doing a Spider-Man from that point on to not have Tony Stark in his life. Like, to just bail.
When did Tony become like a good seamstress?
Well, I mean, the suit.
Made by Veronica or
The
whoever.
suits-
It's not Jarvis anymore, but
no, it's
or
it's
whoever
Friday.
it is.
I think
Friday.
it is.
Friday.
But it would kind of make a little bit. It would probably. A lot of people would ask questions like, "Where the hell is Tony Stark? He just asked him for all this fucking help, and he just fucking abandons him." Dick.
No, that makes sense. And
So-
that last shot, you can't deny the last shot of that.
That
trailer.
last shot was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So-
So I'm just like, okay, I can forgive it.
All right, you got me. All right, Marvel, you sons of bitches.
Yeah, because it's funny how you watch, you watch Civil War with that scene with Tony Stark, and then you watch the Justice League trailer that they showed where, you know, Bruce Wayne is trying to recruit the Flash, and you're just like, oh my god, you guys, like, this is not the way.
And it looks like Bruce Wayne upgrades his suit, which he doesn't do that, but whatever.
no. But
Fuck.
but do you notice that they're kind
I'm
of
gonna
like,
fucking if we don't stop talking about it, I'm gonna fucking remove Justice League from my top 10.
it's getting
Now
lower.
it's starting to piss me off.
It's getting lower.
Starting to piss me off.
So number 3, I actually have Lego Batman movie because
That was surprising to me that you had it
because
so
that,
high.
I knew you were gonna be surprised about that because ever since they announced that after the Lego movie, I was like, yes, that's genius because Will Arnett made that character and people responded so high that they decided we got to branch off and do a movie. And after watching that first trailer, and again, I don't need to watch anymore. They've shown clips all over the place, and I haven't watched anything. But that trailer that they showed had me laughing so hard in just like a minute and a half that I cannot wait to see that movie. And they got just a huge all-star cast. Like, there's a bunch of people.
Will Arnett's
voicing.
great. Will Arnett is
He's
great.
great
as Batman.
on his own.
He was great. He was great in the Lego movie.
Yeah. But the only thing that I'm a little bit worried about is too much Will Arnett because the Batman was sprinkled just enough in that movie.
But you have it at
was
3.
awesome. I know, but I cannot wait to see that movie. Like, more than anything else.
Would
right
you
now.
pay IMAX? So you would pay IMAX?
I would.
money.
I would go pay it. But see, also, I think it has to do with that. That's the first anticipated movie to come out before all the others. So I'm anticipating it
That's
even more.
really that's really high. I want to see that movie. It's one of my outliers.
Yeah.
And I almost put it in my top 10, but I was like, I can't justify Lego Batman above Beauty and the Beast, above War of the Planet of the Apes.
No, I put it up high
Guardians.
because they've got balls that DC's doing their thing right now, but they've got balls to, like, you know what? Yeah, we put Superman on Supergirl, and now we're doing this Lego Batman movie while all the other shit's going on. So I think that's pretty cool that they're doing that.
You know, this would never happen during Christopher Nolan's reign.
Never would have
Because not that Ben Affleck was bad as Batman. He was actually one of the best things of Batman v Superman. But I really feel like if you were in the knee deep or neck deep in the Nolan trilogy right now, you wouldn't see all these different incarnations of stuff.
You wouldn't see anything, dude. Okay, I think I've talked about this before at Comic-Con. I've been to Comic-Con many times, and it was during the Nolan run. And every time I went to Comic-Con, they had a Warner Brothers panel. Everyone's like, "Ooh, I can't wait to see the next footage of Batman." They showed nothing, absolutely nothing. Just little teasers, or with the symbol, and you can hear the voiceovers.
That was one of the best teasers ever.
That's it. If they would just fucking do that, like as soon as they hand it over to Snyder, he's just like a year and a half before the movie comes out, he's like, here's 10 minutes of footage. And I'm like, and it wasn't even that good footage. Like if it was fucking good, then we wouldn't be sitting here bitching
Yeah,
about
they
it.
should do the exact opposite.
They should show nothing.
Because then people like us wouldn't be like,
Bitching
why the
about
fuck is Bruce Wayne around recruiting people? Now that you've shown it to us, now we even know more that movie's in trouble.
Yeah,
because then you
absolutely.
still don't get it.
Yeah.
You still don't understand your characters. Yeah, Snyder might know how to set up a shot, but he has no idea who the fuck Bruce Wayne is.
No.
Don't tell me you read comic books and you have Bruce Wayne in broad daylight recruiting for the Justice League.
Yeah, that guy needs to be reeled in.
If he's like reading comic books, he's just looking at the pictures. He's doing like what my 5-year-old does.
That's what I said to my dad when he caught me with Playboy.
I'm just looking at the
I'm just looking at the articles.
That's what he's doing. That's literally what he's doing. He's just looking at the pictures. He has no idea what to do with them.
Yeah, totally. So number 2, what did you have at number 2?
I had Spider-Man at 2.
Oh, Spider-Man. We talked about that, and I have Guardians. So that brings us to number 1,
Which is the same.
really no surprise. But I think, like last year, Rogue One was my top 1, and I think I just did that because, hey, it's Star Wars, so that I love the 49ers through and through, so I'm going to bet on them every week to week because I'm a diehard
You would
Niner
still
fan.
bet on them? That's just dumb.
Well, yeah, whatever.
I'm a Jets fan.
Not
I would
with-
never bet
not
on the
with
Jets
money.
this year.
Not with
Never
money,
bet.
just pride, which I don't have any right now. They're 2-14.
Even if they went 16-0, if the Jets went 16-0, I would still bet against them in the playoffs.
the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Be like, oh, they're 18-0. Fuck, they're gonna blow it. I'm Randy Quaid in Major League 2. They'll blow it in the
They'll
ninth.
blow it in the ninth. But this one, I think. So this is a different animal because when Force Awakens came out, if we were doing our podcast back then, that would be at the number one. It would never move. It would never change or whatever because we hadn't had a movie in 10 or 11 years, and J.J. Abrams and Disney, all that stuff compounded, and we saw it went to Celebration, all that stuff. So episode 7, there's no way that was not our most anticipated movie, like probably in a decade.
Well, I mean, it would have been number 1, but we would have been skeptical because we had previously gotten 3 bad movies.
Right.
But the fact that they made it a point to say, like, we're going back to its Star Wars roots.
Practical effects.
Almost to the point where they practically made the same movie.
Yeah. Here's a new, Force Awakens.
Yeah.
A New Hope Awakens. So, when Rogue One came out, I think for you, it was like, oh, that looks pretty cool, and I looked at it and went, holy shit, that's just looks like New Hope, like the technology and the everything, and that's the nostalgic reasons and now that I've seen the movie, I still have it at number 1 because I just fucking love that movie. I think I even dare say I liked it better than Episode 7. Now, if that'll change in the future, I don't know, and consequent viewings. But
No, that's true for me.
coming out of that movie, I
liked Rogue One better than The Force Awakens. Looking back on it now,
yeah,
I want Jedi. Yeah, I want lightsaber fights, but I want a new story more than anything.
yeah,
My taste buds are different. I used to love Return of the Jedi the most growing up because of the lightsaber fight at the end.
oh yeah,
But looking back on it now, Empire is definitely a far superior.
superior
Yeah.
movie, yeah.
So for me, like, I love The Force Awakens, and it brought me back to why I love Star Wars.
Yes.
Yeah, there's CG everywhere, but there's a story, and the characters were developed correctly, I think, anyway. It leaves you enough mystery to, want to watch the next film, which is Episode 8. But if you boil it down, Episode 7 is A New Hope, basically.
yeah. A new hope,
Yeah.
a newer hope.
But again, the reason why we love it so much is because it brings us back to, it would be, again, it's essentially what happens. You give one of us the keys to the kingdom and say, you play with these toys and you create your own Star Wars story. What would you do? You'd kind of do some of the same things you did growing up and be like, all right, because I truly 100% believe if the prequels didn't suck and they gave me this movie, I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing?
yeah,
what are you doing? So and then I think that's why for me especially episode 8 is so highly anticipated for me because okay, you've righted the ship, you're not going to crash into that iceberg anymore,
Right.
and now you get to go off and do shit on your own and tell me a good Star Wars story that I have never seen before. You better not start off on planet Hoth. There better not
Not be no fathers.
there better be no carbonite.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, I guess there could be fathers. I guess we're going to know the patronage of Ray in this one.
hopefully, but I mean, there's, but that's what it is. Like, it's the fact that it's Star Wars, and now after you've righted the ship, we get to see something different.
But yeah, I totally agree with you. I think the reason why I love Rogue One so much is it makes A New Hope better. It actually changes the viewpoint a little bit and actually makes that movie, if you could even say making it better. I mean, it's already an awesome.
Now
movie,
it's a
but
four. That's like A New
it's
Hope is a 4-hour
4-hour
movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched them back to back too, and it does make it. It's very interesting, and it also kind of changes some of the plot holes. Like the big one was the exhaust port on the Death Star. I'm like, why the fuck would they ever do that? So they did some things in that movie that just makes A New Hope better. And so this is what I'm hoping, what I'm anticipating, is that episode 8 does that. It makes episode 7 a better movie. It even makes the prequels better movies, if that could even happen. But I want episode 8 to be different. And with Rian Johnson, I can't remember to say his name. I loved Looper and the other movies he did. And he's a huge, like J.J. Abrams, huge Star Wars fan through and through, that he was part of the writing process. I think he even wrote it. And so I'm very excited about this movie. People are just like upset that they didn't get to see a trailer in front of Rogue One. I'm like, why?
They're going to release it at Celebration.
I'm like, it'll come out. Don't worry about it. So, in April, I imagine we'll see the first teaser and then so on and so forth. So until then, there's a lot of good movies to watch.
So really quickly, because we're almost at an hour here,
Oh,
I
the
want to go over.
outliers.
Yeah, I want to go over the outliers. I'm just
Okay.
going to list them, and
Go for it.
you have outliers too, right?
Yep.
I have more outliers than I do in my top 10.
Oh, shit. Wow.
So no real order. I have Dunkirk, A Monster Calls, The Dark Tower, It, Kong Skull Island, Coco, John Wick 2, Lego Batman, The Fate of the Furious, Alien Covenant, Baywatch, Jumanji 2, Pirates, Dead Men Tell No Tales, and Blade Runner 2.
I have every single one of those except for the 2 that I have in my top 10.
So you got A Monster
I
Calls
have
in there
all
too?
that. I don't have that written down, but I had planned on watching that. That movie looks like another E.T. It just looks like something where I'm going to cry. At the
I
end.
think, yeah, it looks like you're gonna cry, but I think I rewatched the trailer again while I was making this list, and I was like, oh man, it's so close to being in my top 10.
Oh, not E.T. Pan's Labyrinth. That's what it reminds me.
Oh yeah. Where
she
everything's
goes
just
into-
where he goes into his own mind, and
Yeah.
it looks exactly like that. I mean, it looks really great. The trailer really sold me on it being like plus it's kind of an original story.
Is Liam Neeson the voice of the
Yeah,
monster?
he's the monster.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Of course, Dunkirk is
Peter Jackson.
no, Dunkirk is Christopher Nolan.
Oh, it is Christopher Nolan. Okay, right.
In IMAX, we saw a prologue to it, or not
shit.
a prologue. We saw like 8 minutes of footage, and
Oh,
it looks
wow.
ridiculous. It looks so
I
good.
can't wait. It's World War II, right? That's a true story.
Yeah. So, and then the main ones I'll just briefly talk about.
Well,
The
I
Dark
have-
Tower.
Dark Tower. That's got Idris Elba.
Yeah, they've been trying to make that movie for like 20 years.
Years.
So they're finally making it. You grew up
King's
watching the TV show.
Yeah,
the
it
TV
was okay.
miniseries. It was okay, but I feel like it's anticipating for me for two reasons. It's Stephen King, first of all, and second of all, well, it's Stephen King's one of his best books ever,
Yes.
and it looks fucking creepy.
Yeah, Pennywise is fucking creepy.
Of course, Skull Island looks amazing for the teaser trailer that we got. I'm hoping it's okay. It didn't make my top 10 because it probably will end up being like King Kong, where it's just a lot of special effects and not a lot of substance.
Right.
Uh,
Well, it could be
sustenance.
it could be like how Godzilla was to the Roland Emmerich Godzilla, Gareth Edwards Godzilla, which was I thought a better movie,
I thought
but
Gareth
still had
Edwards was
problems,
better.
but it was better,
Yeah.
way better than the other one. So hopefully the King Kong one will be a little bit better than Peter Jackson's.
Yeah, Coco is the only Pixar release I think next year.
Is that for the
Or
Day
actually,
of
no, sorry, Cars 3 is, but it's not making my list.
the...
Coco
Is
is
it Day of the Dead?
Yeah, something about that. It deals with some kid who wants to play music in the town that they actually abolish music or something like that, or his
wow.
house, and he actually ends up in the dead world.
Oh, okay. Well, if
So
it's
there's really
Pixar,
nothing
I'm
knowing
there.
about it. It's Pixar. That's
Yeah, I'm
basically it.
there.
It's not Cars 3, so it made my list.
I have Jumanji 2 on there, my Outlier and Baywatch because The Rock. We've talked about. We love the.
That's
Rock
the only
and
reason why I
everything.
have Jumanji 2
Fate
in
and the
there
Furious.
because The Rock is in it. We haven't obviously seen the trailer, but Baywatch's trailer looked awesome. The Fate of the Furious, I'm really skeptical about. I always thought Vin Diesel couldn't act anyway, and now he's just like a person who doesn't speak in the trailer, and I was like, okay, so what's the difference?
Yeah,
Like he's got
he's making
out of
just
the f-
hand over fist now
out of
to
the
do
3
nothing.
pages of lines that he had in the previous movies, now he's got no
He's
lines
the
in the
Tony
trailer.
Stark of that series.
Yeah, but
basically,
Robert Downey
not as
Jr. can
good.
act.
He's just collected paychecks at
Yeah.
this point. And it's funny that feud between The Rock and him made a lot of sense when I was reading about that. I was like, I could see that. I could see people just
Yeah.
getting so, too big for their britches that they're
It,
acting
it seems like
assholes.
Vin Diesel has, personally, from what we've been reading, it seems like thinks he's hot shit
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
doesn't realize that it's the
He
ensemble.
is hot shit. He's got 100 million Facebook users. That's those are all his friends.
Yeah, but you don't walk up to a 6'5" rock and start shit
No.
because yeah, in Fast Five or whatever, you might have beaten the Rock, but that's a movie. That's a movie, Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
The Rock will pummel you.
Vin, we love you, but
I mean-
but between The Rock and you, I think I'd have to go for The Rock.
Yeah,
Just-
and the Rock
beat
is,
me up.
and honestly, personally for me, yeah. If you're listening, which you're not, so I don't care. Personally, I think the Rock is a much better actor
Yeah, I
in the
think so,
short
too.
time frame that he's been acting.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel's been acting. Vin Diesel was in fucking Saving Private Ryan. Did you know that?
yeah,
But he doesn't say
he
anything.
dies.
Which I don't know how he made it, but yeah, he's almost like a caricature of himself in real life now.
And
Like,
he tried doing other movies and they just failed, and so he just
Like
went
The
back to Fast
Pacifier?
and the Furious. Yeah. That's
well,
okay.
the Rock has done a couple of not
did The
great
Tooth
movies.
Fairy.
Yeah, he did Tooth Fairy. And he did, what was the other one he did where he was a football player?
Oh yeah, Gridiron or something like that.
No,
I
not
don't
Gridiron
know.
Gang. He was a coach. He was actually pretty good in that one.
Yeah.
There was a Disney movie I think where he did
It's forgettable.
yeah, I can't even remember the name. It wasn't that great. I just
The
think the Rock
Scorpion
is from
King.
what I've.
Yeah.
Well, that was his first starring role.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why I have Baywatch and.
But yeah,
Jumanji too.
he's in 3 movies this year. He's all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
So, I have Wonder Woman and Justice League on the Outliers. I have Alien Covenant on the Outlier.
You have John Wick too, right?
John Wick 2, which I would have that higher, but just there's other movies that I'm anticipating more. John Wick, I actually did not go in the theater to watch that.
Me neither.
I was already burned over Ronin or whatever shit movies that he was coming out with.
Oh God, yeah.
And so when this movie came out, and it came out again probably in October, and I was like, I'm not going to go watch that. Then someone was like, dude, you got to watch this movie. And so I rented it and loved it.
It's
Loved
really
it.
good. But there's really not much to it. It's just great to watch. Like Keanu Reeves there's a certain way that he does, it's like Chow Yun Fat. You put him in any movie and you give him a gun, I want to watch it.
Oh, yeah. Because of what he does.
He's just so if you created another, if John Woo did another movie with him, with Chow Yun Fat and just John Woo, I'd be like, oh, sign me up.
Yeah, definitely.
Just have him for an hour and a half, just fire a gun.
Yeah, it's just weird how Keanu, in a lot of movies, he's not a very good actor. He's very one note, but these
There's
roles,
certain
when he's
movies.
Neo,
There's some movies where there's some movies that it just fits.
yeah,
And John Wick fit.
Wick fits,
And-
and he's a badass.
Yeah, I mean, I really loved the first movie, and you would think, based on our tastes in movies, John Wick 2 would be higher. But there's a little bit more substance in the movies that we have in our top 10.
And I also have on the Outlier, I have Kingsman: The Golden Circle. I liked the first Kingsman, but it wasn't blow my my head open. I liked it a lot, and so when I heard they were doing a sequel, I was like, okay, I'll go see that. But again, that's on the outside as well, like you just said.
Did you have Pirates?
I had Pirates.
I have it on there, and if I had to rate my outliers, it'd probably be pretty low on the outlier list, because it's the last 3 have been, ever since the first one, they've been pretty shitty. But
Yeah.
I really just love Jack Sparrow.
Well, that's the one role that Johnny Depp I think nailed, and then after that, he's just become kind of a caricature of himself, and it bums me out. And now He's
Well, at
in the
least
Fantastic Beasts movies.
The only,
and
the
I'm
only
not happy
thing
about
that's
that.
great is even in that movie, Jesus Christ, even in that movie, I was just about to say, at least in Pirates, he's not in white makeup with a British accent. But you just mentioned Fantastic Beasts, and I was like, fuck, he's in white makeup and he's got a British
The
accent.
one thing I thought he was awesome was when he appeared in 21 Jump Street like, at the end of the movie. He
Right,
like
yeah.
takes off the mask and
Yeah.
it's him, and I fucking
Because
love that.
he wasn't in white makeup and he didn't have a British accent.
I'm like, oh, that was awesome. But yeah, he does all these like ridiculous cameos, and I just want him to do a normal movie.
Yeah. I have Blade Runner out in my outlier too. I think that's all of them. I think. Do you have
That's
anything
it.
else?
No, we have. I mean, pretty much the same type of thing. So
All right, that's 2017.
that's our most anticipated movies of 2017. I'm sure there's a lot of bad movies coming out, but we didn't want to waste our time right now. We'll wait.
And I'm
a year
sure
to
there's
do
going to
that.
be some movies that surprise us, like last year, like Arrival and Moana. But I checked Disney animated films, and there really wasn't too many Disney animated films coming out this year at all. I don't think. I don't know if there's any.
Maybe they're taking a break because this year they came out with two big, huge ones.
Yeah,
I mean,
this year, the year coming up, or actually when this releases, it'll be this year. I don't think there's any animated movies coming out this year, which is weird.
I don't know.
I mean, Beauty and the Beast is their biggest one. That's just under the Disney line. I mean, yeah, Marvel or whatever too, but that doesn't really count.
No, they were just really stacked this year, especially with all the Marvel movies and all that. And they're Disney was the number one. They broke records this year.
Yeah, because they own like the biggest one. They own
Yeah.
Pixar, Marvel,
and
Lucasfilm.
Lucasfilm, and all three of them came out with movies.
Yeah,
and they all killed.
and then they came up with their own 2 movies, and those were phenomenal movies. So every single one of their movies was really good.
Yeah, I
fuck you, Disney. I mean, where do you get off being that fucking good?
I think it's called a monopoly.
Yeah. It's like when you wanted to like hate Justin, like I wanted to hate Justin Timberlake. Who didn't? He was in sync. Like fuck that guy.
I agree
Fuck him
with
into
you.
it.
And then I'd
And
see him
then
on
I seen him-
SNL, and he's hilarious.
Yeah, and then I see him acting, and then he's like, he was really good in Trolls. Actually, he's funny. He's really talented. Like fuck that guy. Oh, like Brad Pitt too. Remember when Brad Pitt came out, like in Thelma and Louise, and then he was in like Legends of the Fall. I'm like,
Yeah.
because he had the long hair. And that Legends of the Fall is what made him like this giant hunk
Right,
for
right.
every girl.
Oh, fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Then you got Angelina
and then
Jolie.
then I watched Legends of the Fall. And then I actually watched it. I'm like, oh, he's fucking badass in this movie. he's really a badass in that movie.
Bear killed him.
And then you watch Snatch, right? You watch
Yeah.
Snatch. That's a fucking great movie. He's so great in that movie. What else?
He's cool in all the
Ocean's 11. He's great.
And,
Yeah. So fuck those guys. Where do you get off being that handsome and that talented?
I can't say fuck you to Clooney though, because that dude is a filmmaker, just like Ben Affleck. Like those guys can act and they can direct and they can write.
I don't think I had it
So-
with Clooney. Clooney has this charm about him.
Yeah, you can't say you're like fuck you, like you're
Yeah,
Clooney.
Clooney's funny, but like Brad Pitt has that like the look. Fuck that guy. But then you start watching his shit. You're like, fuck him even more. He's fucking really talented. Fuck him.
Oh man. Well, let's end it on that note. Fuck you, Brad Pitt. That's the most anticipated movies of 2017. This is episode 61 of Chew on This, a Nerds United podcast. I'm BJ.
Vic,
Until next time, chew on that and happy holidays.
later.